राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीर यमुना तीरा वनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की ब्रज भूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई की जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की तुलसी महारानी की समवेद भक्त वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories all glories all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3 Chapter 5 Text number 29 महत्तत्वाद् विकुर्वाणाद् अहं तत्त्वं व्यजायत कार्यकारणकर्तात्मा भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः वैकारिकस्तैजसश्च तमसश्च चेति अहं त्रिधा महत्तत्वाद् विकुर्वाणाद् अहं तत्त्वं व्यजायत कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वा भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः वैकारिकस्तैजसश्च तामसश्च चेत्यहं त्रिधा महत्तत्त्वादिकुर्वाणा अहं तत्त्वं व्यजायत कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वात्मा भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः वैकारिकस्तैजसश्च तामसश्चेत्यहं त्रिधा महत्तत्त्वद्विकुर्वाणा अहं तत्त्वं त्यजायत कार्यकारणकर्तात्मा भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः महत्तत्त्वाद्विकुर्वाणा अहं तत्त्वं व्यजायत कार्यकारणकृतात्मा भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः वैकारिकस्तज्यश्च तामसश्चेति अहं त्रिधा महत्तत्त्वाद्विकुर्वाणा अहं तत्त्वं व्यजायत कार्यकारणकर्तात्मा भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः वैकारिकस्तैजसश्च तामसश्चेति अहं त्रिधा माताजी's महत्तत्त्वद्विकुर्वाणा अहं तत्त्वं व्यजायत कार्यकारणकर्तात्मा भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः वैकारिकस्तैजसश्च तामसश्चेत्यहं त्रिधा Maha, the great, Tattvat, from the causal truth, Vikurvanat, being transformed, Aham, false ego, Tattvam, material truth, Vajayata, become manifested, Karya, effects, Karana, cause, Kartra, doer, Atma, soul or source, Bhuta, material ingredients, Indriya, senses, Manamaya, hovering on the mental plan, Vaikarikaha, the mode of goodness, Taijasaha, the mode of passion, Cha, and Tamasaha, the mode of good ignorance, Cha, and Iti, thus, Aham, false ego, Tridha, three kinds. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Mahat Tattva, or the great causal truth, transforms into false ego, which is manifested in three phases: cause, effect, and the doer. All such activities are on the mental plane and are based on the material elements, gross senses, and mental speculation. The false ego is represented in three different modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Purport. A pure living entity in his original spiritual existence is fully conscious of his constitutional position as an eternal servitor of the Lord. All souls who are situated in such pure consciousness are liberated, and therefore they eternally live in bliss and knowledge in the various Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky. When the material creation is manifested, it is not meant for them. The eternally liberated souls are called Nitya Muktas, and they have nothing to do with the material creation. The material creation is meant for rebellious souls who are not prepared to accept subordination under the Supreme Lord. This spirit of false lordship is called false ego. It is manifested in three modes of material nature, and it exists in mental speculation only. Those who are in the mode of goodness think that each and every person is God, and thus they laugh at the pure devotees who try to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Those who are puffed up by the mode of passion try to lord it over material nature in various ways. Some of them engage in altruistic activities as if they were agents appointed to do good to others by their mental speculative plans. Such men accept the standard ways of mundane altruism, but their plans are made on the basis of false ego. This false ego extends to the limit of becoming one with the Lord. The last class of egoistic conditioned souls, those in the mode of ignorance, are misguided by the identification of the gross body with the self. Thus, all their activities are centered around the body only. All these persons are given the chance to play with the false egoistic ideas, but at the same time, the Lord is kind enough to give them a chance to take help from the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, so that they may understand the science of Krishna and thus make their lives successful. The entire material creation, therefore, is meant for the falsely egoistic living entities hovering on the mental plane under different illusions in the modes of material nature. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I welcome everyone to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So these series of shlokas which we are going through, they are mentioning about how the material creation is going to take place. So how material consciousness is generated, how it is facilitated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is explained in a very scientific way in this verse. So the Mahat Tattva, where the great causal truth is sum total of all material elements, and in the beginning of creation it is this Mahat Tattva alone that existed, and it has manifested as explained here in as the total expansion of the Supreme Lord. Now to understand this, we need to understand how we can solve this problem of entire material creation. And before we try to solve this problem, we need to understand what is the real problem. What is the root cause of the problem? Like for example, we go to visit a doctor. Superficially, he looks at us and he gives some medicine for it. And then we are cured for some time, but again, after a due course of time, the same disease may erupt up. Similarly, if we also want to solve material problems, we go for quick fix solutions. But the root cause of all the problems, we have to go deep and we have to work on it. There is an analogy given that when a gardener is gardening, apart from the various plants he has implanted there are weeds also which they come up. And weeds are ugly and they ruin the beauty of the entire garden. So what does the gardener do? Many a times, because of ignorance, he tries to superficially cut them. And when he cuts those weeds, eventually it so happens that the roots of that weeds become more stronger. They grow more deeper. And again, the weeds come up. Eventually he cuts it. The roots are more and more deeper now. So, just rather trying to suppress the symptoms of our problems in this material world, we need to go deep into the solution part. But before that, we need to understand what is the root cause of the problem itself. So, our material consciousness is the cause of material suffering. And the basic root of all material consciousness is the false ego. So, this entire shloka speaks about the origin of material consciousness, that is the false ego. And it has been created by Mahat Tattva, which emanates from the elements of Mahat Tattva. Okay? And this false ego comes in contact with the three modes: mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. And based on that, it has various flavors of exhibition. So what is false ego? False ego is when we forget our true identity. Our true identity is Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Mamay Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So we are eternally fragmental part and parcels of the Supreme Lord. But because of material contamination, we have forgot that. And we want to enjoy in this material world. So the dharma of sugar is by nature to be sweet. Salt nature is to be salty. Water's nature is to be liquid. Similarly, the soul's nature is to be part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and being eternal servant of Sri Krishna. And the soul is meant to harmonize and sync with the desire of Sri Krishna and engage oneself in the activities of this world. But when the false ego interrupts in between, the mentality to be enjoyed by the Supreme Lord transforms into being an enjoyer, Ishvara. I want to enjoy, I want to control, Bhokta. And everyone in this material world want to be enjoyer. Everyone is trying to lord over material nature, lord over various living entities also. Everyone wants to be adored, whereas the Supreme Lord is meant for all kind of adoration. Everyone wants to utilize their mind and senses for material pleasure, but everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure. So this false ego that I want to be the Lord is the root cause of material suffering and bondage. And this propensity to want to be God manifests in different varieties according to the influence of various modes of material nature. So when this false ego comes in contact with mode of goodness, so the jiva, he feels that he has achieved liberation from the bondage of misconception that I am the gross material body. Those who have entered into this state of consciousness, which is so great and so deep and so broad that they actually believe that they have merged their consciousness into universal, unlimited consciousness. They are no longer bound by the petty shackles of lust, anger, greed, pride. They consider themselves to have achieved oneness with the Supreme. So, they want to somehow or other convince everyone that Aham Brahmasmi, that you are spirit, you are God, you are unlimited, you are beyond all variegated, miserable limitations of body of a personality. Your universal consciousness itself, your pure existence. Follow me and I'll show you the way into the light of truth. But Srimad Bhagavatam considers these teachers and followers to be simply the instruments of false ego. Devotees are not impressed by this. They are quite disgusted by this because they see that the basic root cause of all suffering is still within the heart. They may appear very liberated externally, but inside that weed is again going deep rooted, and it may again pop up. It may cause problem. And then when the false ego comes in contact with mode of passion, he wants to do all kind of altruistic activities, all kind of charitable work. Open nice schools, educate the ignorant, open nice beautiful hospitals to heal the sick, to make the material body so nice they can enjoy material life happily. So many ways he is trying to help people to enjoy more. And by this, he is thinking that I am the provider of all these facilities for you. I have money, I have position, I have wealth, so I am providing you this hospital, these schools, all these charitable works. He feels that I am God now, I am the enjoyer, I am the supplier, I am the protector, I am the maintainer, and I am the shelter of all living entities. This is one kind of hallucination. Although he may be directly not working on personal sense gratification, but it is an extended sense gratification. So this is actually tremendous amount of sense gratification which comes by power. by the variegated energies that I am the shelter provider. I can provide you relief, I can provide you liberation from this suffering condition. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. That Jiva applies this shloka to oneself. So, the third one is the false ego when it comes in touch with mode of ignorance. And when it comes in touch with mode of ignorance, the jiva simply thinks that he is the material body. And by the help of this mind, he will try to enjoy the best he can, physically as well as mentally also. So, he has various senses through he enjoys. Through ears, he thinks that I can hear nice sound vibrations. Through the nose, I can smell nice fragrances. Through the eyes, I can look at very beautiful things of this world. And that is how the temptations of this world allure him for sense gratification. And then, as we know, dhyato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamaha krodha abhijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibhrama smriti bhramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. So a frog also looks at a she-frog and gets attracted. Similarly, a horse also gets attracted towards a she-horse. This attraction towards opposite sex of this world is what the bodily attachment, which comes in the mode of ignorance. So Srila Prabhupada says that even a person who looks at a dead corpse also gets attracted because of that bodily attachment. So let's see what is the Vaishnava philosophy of understanding. So the Vaishnavas, or the devotees of the Lord, they also understand that this false ego has various encroachment on our consciousness when the modes vary, mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. But they think that actually I have to transcend all this suffering. I have to transcend this death altogether. I have to transcend this material body which keeps coming again and again. I have to transcend this also. For this, I need to seek shelter of the Supreme Lord through the 9 process of devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also mentions in Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, that we are not looking forward for any kind of false ego being satisfied through goodness, passion or ignorance. I don't want any wealth, I don't want any kind of enjoyment, I don't want any kind of followers. I just want to be liberated from this material bondage and be your servant eternally, birth after birth. So, if a devotee is struggling and even suffering that the mind has so much of conditionings and he is bound with that and he need to fight with it every day since morning till night, that devotee, that struggling devotee is very well situated compared to those who have placed their consciousness in unlimited consciousness of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Because he understands that all these things which are affecting my consciousness are just meant for troubling me and keeping me bonded in this material world. And he wants to uproot the desire of false ego. being lording over material nature. So if you want to relieve oneself from the sufferings of this material world, Lord Krishna says in Gita, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. And also, with what mood we can practice this surrender is mentioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Sikshashtakam. Trinadapi Sunichena Taroriva Sahishna Amanina Manadena Kirtanaya Sadahari. That how we can give up false ego. So this particular verse by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly attacks the zone of false ego. And it uproots it from where it is deeply rooted. So becoming humbler than the blade of grass and tolerant like a tree and offering all respects to others, expecting none in return. This is how the false ego transforms into real ego. And real ego is, we are all eternally the servants of the Supreme Lord. But then there is also a problem here, that when we water the plants in the garden, along with that, the weeds also again keep growing. So we have to be very careful that when we are planting and nurturing and nourishing the plant of devotion, we have to humbly accept a service attitude of hearing and chanting, which will keep us guarded from the weeds being growing. So all the 9 pros of devotional service which we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam are meant to uproot the weeds of material ego. So when we attentively hear, chant and perform a devotional activity, still there is a danger that because we are empowered, we can do big things. We are qualified, we have skill to have so many attributes. But deep within somewhere there will be a weed around. So we have to be very careful to take care of that weed. Or else we may keep growing, but those weeds will poison entire devotional service. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu basically taught 3 principles: Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva and Jivadaya. So now I'll speak a bit today about Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, his disappearance days today. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears as most munificent, magnanimous, merciful incarnation in this world 500 years ago. And as Vyasdev have compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, similarly, the compiler of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela is Vrindavan Das Thakur. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while he was living in Navadvip, he has hid his true identity of being the devotee of being that he is the Supreme Lord. And rather, he exhibited himself as Nimai Pandit, a grammar scholar. And devotees were harassed by him many a times when grammatical debates would happen. And they would always pray that this boy, if he could become a devotee. So many a times when I also get involved with congregation children, all the parents have only one desire: मेरा बच्चा भक्त बन जाए. So after departure of Jagannath Mishra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya. And there he taught us an example that one can be empowered only when one receives mercy from the parampara. So he receives formal Harinam initiation from Srila Ishwar Puri. And with that treasure of Harinam, with treasure of Kripa, he comes to Navadvip. Still, he was not so much concerned about Krishna's subject matter, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's name. And devotees would cry tears that when will he become a devotee? And then, one day, it so happened that the king of Bengal, he sends 2 boats of soldiers to find out what is happening in Shiva's Angan. And in Shiva's Angan, Lord Chaitanya has already inaugurated the Sankirtan movement. So Lord Chaitanya, for so many years, he didn't do any activity regarding the Nam Sankirtan, inauguration of Sankirtan movement. But then, when these 2 boats were arriving, Lord Chaitanya was moving around at the bank of Ganges. And he saw some few cows grazing there. And as he saw those cows grazing, he immediately entered the mood of Vrindavan. And at that time, Srivas Thakur was praying by closing his DT room doors, praying to the Lord that please descend and please save us. So, Lord Chaitanya, now in mood of Vrindavan, he starts running towards Shiva's Angan. And he kicks open the door, and enters inside, and he tells Shrivas that I am he for whom you were calling for. I have arrived, I have appeared here. And then Srivas Thakur started crying, weeping in ecstasy, the tears of bliss that the Lord has appeared here. So, Srivas Thakur surrendered his entire life and soul to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he was almost the age of his father. And when the kirtans would happen in Srivas Angan, Srivas Thakur's family members, his maids, his neighbors, his friends, everyone would come and participate in that. Like we have a house program somewhere, we start inviting the neighbors, friends, relatives, so that they can be connected. And then Lord Chaitanya said that, you don't worry about the soldiers who are coming. I can engage them in the chanting of the holy names. I can even engage the tiger, the elephant of the jungle, who are wild enemies, to be वहाँ है ना, तो I can make them friends. So during the Sankirtan which happened at Shiva's Angan was a small girl whose name was Narayani. So Narayani was the daughter of Shiva's Thakur's elder brother Nalina Pandit. So Nalina Pandit's daughter was Narayani. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would look at her, he would bestow his glance and his mercy on her. So whenever Lord Chaitanya would honor prasadam, he would give her personally the remnants by his hand, he would feed her. One time he gave her the betel nut, supari, to Narayani to honor. And he would call out for Narayani, please chant Krishna's names. And as soon as Narayani would get her instruction, she would start chanting and she would be in ecstasy. And her body would start trembling and the entire tears of Ananda would flow from her eyes. And Lord Chaitanya blessed her with ultimate perfection of Prema Bhakti. And when Srivas Thakur would see that the small niece of his is in ecstasy, he would raise his hands and he would dance in the kirtan. And he was now sure that the destroyer of the age of Kali has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Vrindavan Das Thakur speaks about this entire Leela in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So now, this Narayani, she was married to a Brahmana from Silhet, whose name was Vaikuntanath. And they moved to Mamgachi, Modrumadvip. And she was conceiving Vrindavan Das Thakur in her womb. And during that period, Vaikuntanath disappeared from this world. And she was helpless. She had no one to take care. Srivas Thakur and Malini Devi, they would be staying in Antardvip. It was far distant place. So, Vasudev Datta, who is Prahlad Maharaj himself, he would take care of Narayani Devi and the child who will be born. So Vrindavan Das Thakur was born on Krishna Dwadashi of the month of Jyeshtha, 1507 AD. So that's falling on 24th of May next month. So some say that he was born in Mamgachi and some say that he was born in Kumarhatta. So Narayani was only 15 years at that time. She was a young girl, a widow, but compassionately Vasudeva Datta gave her shelter, and she would help him in deity worship and other household chores, and he would provide shelter to the mother and the child. So in God Ganodash Deepika, it is mentioned, Veda Vyaso ya evasit daso vrindavano dhuna sakha yah kusuma pidaha karyatas tam samavishat. Vedavyas became Vrindavan Das Thakur. Krishna's friend Kusumapida also entered into him for special purposes. So, Vrindavan Das Thakur is a combination of Kusumapida and Vyasdev. So, Vedavyas described Krishna Lila in Srimad Bhagavatam, non-different from Vyas is Vrindavan Das Thakur, who described the glorious pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Along with that, there is description about Malini Devi and Narayani Devi also. Ambikaya Swasayashin Namna Srila Kilimbika Krishna Uchchishtham Prabhunjana Seyam Narayani Mata. Kilimbika, who used to eat Krishna's remnants, was younger sister of Krishna's nurse Ambika, Sriva's wife Malini. So Malini Devi is Ambika, and her younger sister Kilimbika became Narayani, who honored the Mahaprasad of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Vrindavan Das Thakur was born and raised simply hearing the wonderful pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was born just after Lord Chaitanya took sannyas and went to Jagannath Puri. So he never got any chance to meet Lord Chaitanya. But his goal of life was, one day I will go to Jagannath Puri and I will have darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in the company of Vasudeva Datta and other Vaishnavas, throughout his childhood, he was brought up in beautiful environment of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vaishnava Seva, hearing the glories of Supreme Lord. And when he was about to leave for Jagannath Puri to have darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he got a fateful news that Lord Chaitanya has disappeared and he has winded up his pastimes. So he was in deep separation from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But then to his rescue came Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who is Balramji himself. He knows everyone's heart. So he appeared in his life and he started consoling him and giving him nourishment. And he trained him in the aspects of devotional life, as well as he fed him the Gaura Katha, the enriching pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And after Lord Nityananda left, Janva Devi took care of Vrindavan Das Thakur as her son. So Vrindavan Das Thakur was groomed in this kind of environment of purely devotion under Vasudev Dutt and other Vaishnavas. And also he was the last disciple of Nityananda Prabhu. Last initial disciple of Nityananda Prabhu. And personal associate of Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda, because he nourished him by Gaur Leela, so he gives him an instruction that you please narrate the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya for the world to come. So Nityananda Kripa Patra Vrindavana Das Chaitanya Lila Teho Hoyena Adi Vyas. So Vrindavan Das Thakur is Lord Nityananda's favorite devotee, and therefore he is original Vyasdev in describing the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After that, Lochan Das Thakur and then Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami. So, as a young man, when he was with Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Nityananda, he instructed him to go and stay at Dhenur. Dhenur is a village near Bardhaman. So he went there, and it is not very far from Katwa also, where Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. So he went and he made his residence, his kutir at Dhenur. And then he started writing Chaitanya Bhagavat. So in 1535 AD, he wrote Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. And then Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita also, he is glorifying Vrindavan Das Thakur as Adi Vyas of Gaur Leela. So he explains that Vyasdev himself wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, and Vrindavan Das Thakur wrote the supreme literature which beautifies the glory of Lord Chaitanya's life and teachings. And he says that I am just attempting to extract some few drops and present it before all of you. I am just chewing the remnants left by Vrindavan Das Thakur. This is the mood of Srila Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami. And Vrindavan Das Thakur in his Adi Madhya and Antya Leela, he says that by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, he could compose this scripture, which was beneficial for all the living entities eternally. And he says that on the instructions of my Guru Maharaj, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, I am writing this scripture for all of you. So he explains that Lord Nityananda's special function was to reveal the truth of Lord Chaitanya to the world. Because after Lord Chaitanya left this world, then Lord Nityananda was the preacher who was preaching about the glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He revealed the supreme divinity of Krishna, Lord Sri Chaitanya, to his confidential associates and devotees. So he owed a lot of gratitude towards Lord Nityananda, who filled his heart with Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. So Lord Nityananda, when he would travel as preacher, he would involve devotees in singing Bhajo Gaurango, Kaho Gaurango, Loho Gaurangera Naam Re, भज गौरांग कह गौरांग लह गौरांगेर नाम रे जे जना गौरंगा भजे से हो मोर प्राण रे जे जना गौरंगा भजे से हो मोर प्राण रे. So Nityananda Prabhu he infected devotees with Lord Chaitanya's mercy and he engaged them in glorifying the Supreme Lord through Nam Sankirtan. So Vrindavan Das Thakur he describes about all the primary childhood pastimes, the chastisement of Chand Kazi, and then Lord's departure from Navadvip, and few aspects about the life in Puri. But major part was described by Chaitanya in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Puri version. After Sannyas Leela was described by Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami. So Vrindavan Das Thakur was a bit strict about Vaishnava Aparadh. So he demonstrated that this infinite mercy of Lord Chaitanya is flowing on all the living beings. But just because of Vaishnava Aparadh, it may create an obstacle in one's devotional life. Ete prahari o je papi ninda kore, tabe lathi maru tar shirera upore. Even after being told how objectionable it is, if someone still blasphemes the Vaishnavas, then I will kick him in the head. So this was his intense feelings about Vaishnava Aparadh. So even today at Mamgachi, there are the original deities of Nitai Gaur Chandra, which were worshipped by Vrindavan Das Thakur, his life and soul. And the Bhakti Vedanta Trust, Charity Trust has developed that entire place. And today is Vaishakh Krishna Dashami, on which Vrindavan Das Thakur disappeared from this world. So on this very day, following the footsteps of Srila Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, let us offer tens and millions of obeisances at the feet of Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur. By his love that has flown through his heart, has revealed the greatest treasure in our lives. By Nityananda Prabhu's order, he wrote Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. By Nityananda Prabhu's order, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami went to Vrindavan to hear and ultimately to write Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So on this auspicious day, we must know that we are eternally indebted to this great Vaishnava Acharya through the most wonderful and merciful contribution he has offered to all the humanity. So the whole basis of our own spiritual culture of Gaudiya Vaishnavism is dependent on our connection to the Gaudiya scriptures. And Vrindavan Das Thakur was the pioneer in providing us with Chaitanya Bhagavat in that form. Apart from that, other literatures were also written. So these acharyas who have provided us these scriptures are the ones who were personally inspired by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda to enunciate and establish the moral principles of Yoga Dharma through the chanting of the holy names and through Vaishnava Seva and Jivadaya. So these are few thoughts about Vrindavan Das Thakur. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Mahashay ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.